All right, let's go live for another bicycle live stream on Saturday, May the 11th. It's almost 7 a.m. and I've ridden 26 kilometres and it's a cool 14 degrees at the moment. I've just taken my gloves and balaclava off, so I am feeling it. It's a beautiful autumn morning and just ridden down to Tweed and just riding up. And this morning's, when I say riding back up to the markets and to home. And this morning's topic, good morning, my love. Thank you for watching. Quick off the mark you are this morning, the first person. And that is just, yes, let me just tell you how much I love you and miss you and wish you were here on this glorious morning. And also hello to Angel, who is watching as well. So all of us want to be happy, and you know that's a component of our deepest desire to be loved. And from the moment we are born, we are, I guess you could say, caught in a situation between a rock and a hard place, between the head and the heart, between the demands of the head, which is the mind, and the wisdom of the heart. And the heart's wisdom comes for a lot of us through intuition in still, quiet moments, whereas the head tends to display, or the mind tends to display its control over us. So it's always a battle for control between the two. And the mind, what we call the false ego, is always wanting to be number one and always demanding attention and always trying different tricks, because they are tricks, to get our attention. And what I've seen over so many decades is how sad it is that just about everyone falls for these tricks and just about everyone pays the price because they fell for these tricks. And you know, so many times we see the example of someone that's maybe like an up-and-coming movie star, maybe, you know, or somebody with a talent, you know, an acting talent, musical talent, some sort of talent that has become, you know, sort of known and starting to become famous and attracting fans. And how many times have we read a quote from them in their early days when they say that fame won't affect them, that they'll always stay the same way they were, they'll always be humble, and you know, they'll always just be the same old person they were before they were discovered and became famous. This may be their intention, but they are up against the strength of material illusion, of material power of Maya, which is acting, displaying her power through our senses connected to our mind. And we're up against that battle, that pull, if you like. And inevitably, we lose. We lose unless we are connected strongly to our heart's wisdom. So, every day from the moment we are born, well, there's a bit of a wind here, might have to yell a bit. We are caught in this battle. We are caught in this battle between the mind wanting control and the heart guiding us with wisdom and peace. But the gentleness of the heart is easily overridden by the power of the mind. And the way this happens is through our senses. Our senses are, for most people, our senses are something that we trust in a way that we shouldn't because they lead us astray, lead us down paths that are not good for us, and we end up decades later in a situation where our health has been destroyed mentally and physically, where we have behaviours that are addictive and out of control, and we are unable to be at peace at all because of giving in to our senses. This happens at a very, very early age, and we are strongly influenced by those around us, from our parents and our playmates when we're really young. There's always those that have already been, those that have already been sort of enticed by the dark side of the senses, then try to do their best to pull others into their own misery. And it can happen from quite a young age without us even being aware of it. And in fact, some just basic examples. If you go and see, the way the false ego works is, if you go and see a movie, the next thing you do when if you liked it, you go and tell everyone else, oh, have you seen the new Avengers movie or something like that? Why is it that we do that? See, it ties in with this false ego one-upmanship. It's like, oh, I've seen it and you haven't yet, so I'm better than you. And in doing that, we propagate a lie. We become the agent of influence for Maya, and we propagate a lie that this movie is where we'll find our happiness. So, we go and tell other people this. But you see how we actually end up working for the dark side, so to speak, in this battle of dark and light, positive and negative, good and bad. We actually end up doing the bidding for dragging people down into unhappiness inadvertently without us even realizing we do it. Ponder that, think about that, and notice that in the world around you, that's actually what we do. We go, oh, have you heard this latest song? Have you, whatever it is, we'll drag people into, without even knowing it, without even intending to do it, we will drag people into unhappiness. It's amazing, isn't it? And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The latest movie, the latest song, apologies for the strong wind, is not where we find our happiness. Our happiness is found when we connect with our heart's wisdom. That's where our peace comes from naturally. That's where our happiness emanates and radiates from naturally. And one of the techniques that we should develop from a very early age in order to get on top of this is to learn to control our senses before they control us. If we don't control our senses, they just get completely out of hand, and in a lot of cases we'll end up killing ourselves, because the false ego has no limits, no bounds, but the body that we are traveling in is limited. So whereas our senses always want more and more, they always want more food, always want more sex, always want more stimulation, our body is not able to, our finite body cannot handle that. And so eventually we reach a point where our finite body's health is so badly affected by the lie that we are chasing, the illusion that we are chasing, that we cannot continue on as a spirit soul in the body that we are residing in. We have become so unhealthy, so sick, so demented that we have destroyed the body we're in. But the false ego doesn't worry the false ego. Its prime directive is to get more and more stimulation and sense gratification, and even if it kills us or our body in the process. It doesn't kill us because we're an eternal spirit soul, but it kills the body we're in. So from a very early age, there are many different ways that we learn to control our senses in basic ways, in learning to be respectful in our language, as a child learning, toilet habits and, different degrees of control that we learn. So that's sort of the basic things. But what I'm talking about when I'm talking about sense control leading to happiness is having an understanding of what's normal behaviour as far as, say, going to a restaurant and you know, having a reasonable sized meal versus going there and sort of just eating and eating and eating and eating until you know, you're completely full, and even then still not happy. You end up with health problems from this. So the yogis and the sages and the wise men from so long have understood that the secret of success is in mind mastery, self-control, self-discipline. The person who can regulate their senses, who can control their desires so that instead of being led astray by them, is actually in control of them, is actually the person who is at peace. That is the person that when presented with temptations that are not healthy, it is of no interest to them. And one really, really effective way to do this is to replace what I call replacement therapy. Replace the basic desires you might be experiencing with higher spiritual satisfactions. So, let me just get past these people up here on this magic morning. Thank you. So, a person might be so out of control with their senses, their taste senses, that they're still eating animal products, and despite the fact that they know, you know, all the problems involved, that it's killing animals, it's killing their health, it's killing the planet. So they know all that, but they're so attached to their senses because they've been led astray. They're a slave to their senses. They've been following them all their life, that they are unable to bring their senses into control to improve their health, to help the animals and to help the planet. So with replacement therapy, what we do is we look for something that means that they're not giving up, they're actually going higher. So we still need to eat every day, of course, and what we do is, instead of going for a steak, we go for a Satan steak, one that involves no animal cruelty, one that is actually healthier in all areas. Or we go for some tofu or some other amazing dish. We just do a replacement from something that is unhealthy to something that is healthier. Now that's a very basic example. We can do that also with our thoughts. We can do that with our actions, especially if we're finding situations where we're getting out of control in our responses to situations. So as we're getting angry on a regular basis, we realise that's not good for us. It's not good for the people around us. So we can replace that. We can look at how to respond in a way that's more holistic, so that we are still responding to things that are happening, but we are responding in ways that are healthier. So finding happiness is about learning the secrets of success, which come from controlling our senses before they control us. If we get to the point in our life where our senses are controlling us, we are basically just dragged around. We've believed the lie that says, if it feels good, do it, which is what is propagated by those that have come before us that have been led astray by their senses. And we will be stuck in an endless cycle of unhappiness and inability to feel good about ourselves, because we know deep down that we have basically lost the battle and we are weak-willed. So that is the main points that I wanted to get across this morning. that it is very important to work on self-discipline, mind mastery, self-control, because these are the most powerful tools in the most in the biggest battle that you will ever fight, which is the battle against Maya acting through your mind. It's the biggest battle you'll fight. You fight it every second of every day. The temptation is always there, but once you're in a state of peace and control, then you recognize and see this temptation a lot easier, and you say, I'm not interested, this doesn't appeal to me. I know it doesn't lead to happiness. I have found a higher calling, a higher happiness, and that's what interests me now. So if there was some food you used to eat and you thought that was great, and then you now realize that it's not great because of the death and destruction involved with it, then you replace it with something higher. So hope that's given you some food for thought. Food for thought, oh boy. And hope you have a great autumn Saturday. It's chilly. Oh, it's got up to almost 16 degrees now. Ooh. And I will live stream with you again soon. So remember to live vegan and save lives. Ahimsa.